Meher Baba ki jai. So let's start with my wish. Ashwin, please.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. My wish. The lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lovers is as follows. 1. Do not shirk your responsibilities. 2. Attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but always keep at the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. 3. When you feel happy, think, Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think, Baba wants me to suffer. 4. Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely. Baba has placed me in this situation. 5. With the understanding that Baba is in everyone, try to help and serve others. 6. I say with my divine authority to each and all that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you remember me from now on, it will be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moments. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you,
One,
and over to you, Karthik.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And good to be back reading Bal Natu. So we start on session 35. And we are on the physical page 300 in volume 2. Right. So let's pick up from there and start reading. Maybe I will read for a bit and then we read. Yeah. Tar Meher Baba ki jai. A funny scene on the railway platform. Side by side with the work of helping the poor, Baba continued his contacts with the must. Baidul was in charge of finding these God intoxicated ones and in taking Baba to where they resided or roamed about. During this tour, nearly 100 musts had the blessed fortune to meet the God man face to face. In Bihar, Baba contacted such souls at Patna and Chhapra, in Andhra and in Andhra at Hyderabad and Secunderabad, and in Tamil Nadu at Madras. Though the places visited for the most, though the places visited for the must contacts are known, the names of the musts and their special traits have not been recorded. It seems that after the new life phase, no one asked Baidul about their names and the interesting incidents connected with this tour. However, as an exception, in a letter sent to the West, one of the events was reported. This happened during Baba's journey by train from the Nepal border to Calcutta. Baba had visited Janakpur in Nepal, a place of many temples and ashrams, where he blessed 20 spiritually advanced souls, though not musts. Then the party proceeded to Calcutta. The following incident occurred at Kolgon, a small railway station. Here, there was a must who was regarded by some people as mad. He passed most of his time in the station premises. He also roamed about the adjacent streets. Baba seemed pleased to contact this person. Later, the must sent word that Baba and his party should spend the night with him as his guests. Baba, as a rule, tried to accommodate the wishes of any must. In this case, he sent a message to the must through the mandali to cancel the invitation and to permit the party to proceed by the next train. The must did not readily agree. After some time, he came to the railway platform and extended the same invitation. The passengers crowded around the Baba party, engaged in conversation with that so called madman. In the beginning, they felt amused, but soon, for some unknown reason, the crowd felt so agitated with the whole affair that Eruch and Bible were pulled about, and a group of the people dragged the must out of the station. Baba was silently watching and enjoying this comic situation. Just when, just then, the train arrived, and the people rushed towards the compartments to get good seats. During this confusion and uproar, the must probably gestured at Baba to leave Kolgan, and that is why the Baba party also boarded the same train. What a funny contact. As for the other must contacts in the eastern states of India, it can be stated that the general method of meeting with them did not differ much from that followed in the old life, except that the companions were allowed to be with Baba while he paid homage or served these God intoxicated souls. Whatever the city or town, Baidul would collect information about the Mas. He would generally pay visits to them. If he felt that the person was a genuine one, Baba would consent to contact him. Most of the Mas had life stories which, although true, if recorded, would read like fiction. With a profound awareness of inner realities, these lovers of God led a life of external and inner renunciation, unmindful of any discomforts. With them, the abhorrence of luxuries was neither forced nor imposed. Their stay near urinals for years, or their roaming practically naked in severe cold, formed part of their natural living in communion with their beloved God. In spite of the abuses they uttered, they had real love in their hearts. In their mumblings, ecstasy would rise as song. When they would stare at Baba's face, their eyes would shine brighter. After Baba's contacts, their hearts would either be filled with peace and bliss or would be set aflame with his love. This also depended upon the nature of the work Baba had with them. During the present tour of different states, Baba offered many musts the things they seemed to like most as prasad. It was a tangible expression of his spiritual help to them. Baba's work with the musts can be regarded in many ways as the matchless avataric activity of this age. Okay, so some must contacts during the new life. Continuing, illustrative must contacts Bombay. Baba concluded this tour by visiting Kolhapur, Miraj, and finally Bombay in Maharashtra state. At Bombay, he stayed at Nariman's house, Ashiana, on Warden Road in the Breach Candy area. This flat was kept entirely at Baba's disposal for 12 days from November 25th to December 6th, 1950. Besides those in the Baba party, only the arrangement walas were permitted to stay at Ashiana, and Ramju Abdullah was one of them. Ramju accompanied Baba during the must contacts in Bombay and has written a graphic account of it. This narration will also help the readers get a picture of the other contacts made in different states during this whirlwind tour. Ramju writes, Baba started contacting the Mus from the morning of the 27th and completed the work on the 29th of November. Baba maintained a uniform method of approach to all those whom he contacted. That approach was essentially one of great humility and submission. First of all, Baba used to be very careful and avoided causing the least disturbance or annoyance to the one approached. One of the firta musts, that is, those who keep on roaming from place to place without sticking to any particular place or locality, was found lying on a footpath near Mahim. The moment the must was spotted, the car was stopped, and we all followed Baba quietly near the spot where the semi naked must was lying huddled up on the background. In spite of the blazing afternoon sun, he was found fast asleep without any shelter over him. After watching him for a few minutes, Baba decided not to disturb him at all and said, "We shall take another chance some other time." And with that, we moved on. Although Baba would not seek actual permission in order to pay his respects, he would not make an advance unless he was satisfied that it was not likely to be resisted. But once the contact was established, Baba would not leave the place without obtaining the express permission of the other party by word of mouth, nod of head, or any other gesture of assent. Once at Bandra, a must who puts up in a very simple but neat little hut over a hill overlooking the sea, granted Baba's prayer for the asking, but he added, "Kabhi kabhi aya karo," this visit once in a while. Baba at once stopped. He had the prayer repeated with the statement that he would like to go now and waited until he got the clear and unconditional assent of that must. Unless and until Baba could touch his forehead upon the feet of the must and get an assent to his request from him, contact was not supposed to be complete. It was while he placed his forehead on their feet that I, Ramju, generally used to repeat the prayer, "Aap dua kare ke inka ruhani kam ho jaye," meaning thereby, you will kindly pray that his, Baba's, spiritual work is carried out. The response used to be received in various ways and words. The Salik, discerning, right, would say, "Insha Allah ho jayega." That is, God willing, that will be completed. Some would merely nod their heads. Some boldly asserted, "Ho jayega." That is, that shall be done. One queer type at first did a lot of fencing by asking how he could dare interfere with the will of God and the work of the masters. But when assured that all that was needed from him was his own blessings, he suddenly went into an ecstasy and began to give sharp raps on the back of Baba 4 or 5 times, saying that the work shall be carried out. The musts were found in all sorts of places, settings, and circumstances throughout the nooks and corners of Bombay. Nothing stopped Baba from carrying out his self appointed pilgrimage with the briskness and thoroughness of an electioneering campaign. Ramju will, for the present, stop with describing the case of one who, so to say, paid back Baba in his own coin. I would call him the Patiwala Baba, short, robust, full bearded Arab or Pathan type of a Muslim. We had to go to him twice, once in the morning and the second time late at night. He would let people collect around him. So the second time, Baba decided to approach him with only myself by his side. In the sweetest and most persuasive tones that I could adopt, I began to plead with him that we did not mean to disturb him, and pointing to Baba, I, Ramju, said that he only wished to pay his respects. Last, the lion roared. With a gesture towards Baba, he said something to this effect: "He may be God, may be Muhammad, but why not leave me alone?" Baba quietly touched the old man's feet from a distance and beat an immediate retreat, asking me to leave him alone. "He is a fine fellow," repeated Baba more than once. There's a footnote as well as to where this is taken from. Meher Baba and the God Determined Step, book written by Ramju Abdullah, page 17. So it's an account of new life contact with musts. Continuing, during Baba's stay in Bombay, he contacted nearly 20 God intoxicated souls. He felt satisfied with this work and wished to relax for a few more days at Ashiana. Bhiksha and Langoti phases concluded. In the Mahabaleshwar meetings, Baba had informed the gathering that in the forthcoming tour, he would be concluding the two phases of Bhiksha and Langoti, that is, begging for food and wearing a loin cloth. These phases symbolically represented the helplessness of the new life. During his stay in Calcutta one day, he specially visited Dakshineshwar, where the perfect master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa stayed most of his life. It was morning, and Baba, with the companions, moved briskly through the premises and all the temples. He inquired about the dining hall used by the disciples of the master. The Swami in charge of the ashram told Erach that as they were not using the hall, it was locked. On Baba's instruction, Erach told the Swami that this brother would like to retire a while in that particular place and asked him for the key. The Swami, without making any further inquiries, readily offered it. Baba sat quietly in seclusion in that hall for about an hour, wearing only a langoti. It was indeed fitting that Baba selected Dakshineshwar for this type of work, where Sadguru Ramakrishna, who was renunciation personified, had kindled the flame of sannyasa in the hearts of his close disciples. Thus ended Baba's new life phase of wearing a langoti. After the short seclusion at Dakshineshwar, Baba put on a kafni, took the begging bowl, and hung the ochre colored satchel on his shoulder. He started begging at the stalls that lined both sides of the lane leading to the temple. No one gave Baba anything. Perhaps no one dared to offer that exceptionally radiant beggar the sundry things they possessed. Also, it was a strange sight to them, for those who followed Baba had decent clothes, pants, and coats. And in addition, Pendu had a bag full of coins of low denominations, from which he gave a handful to each beggar or mendicant that Baba, with a glance or gesture, directed him to. Where the line of stalls terminated, Baba turned to the right and commenced begging at each of the adjoining houses on the side street. Erach generally used to say at each house, "Mother, please, with love, give Diksha." In the first few houses, no one paid attention to this call of love. As the Baba party neared a house with a latticed veranda and issued the call, the women of the house came out. They seemed greatly impressed by the beggar standing at their door. Spontaneously, they said, "Please do not move on till you accept Bhiksha here." In a short time, they filled Baba's bowl with freshly cooked vegetables and offered him a good quantity of cooked rice. Baba looked exceedingly pleased. It was the last house where the Lord of this age begged for food. How fortunate must be that family, though the members never knew the great worth of their simple offering. After leaving that locality, Baba stopped at a quiet place under a tree. He distributed the bhiksha to his companions and he himself joined them for lunch. The food tasted very delicious. Thus ended the bhiksha phase of the new life. There is a footnote. Even after this, however, Baba went out begging once at Khurdabad in November 1951. So almost 2 years later, a year later. Baba then took off the kafni and put on the sadra, trousers, and coat, which he generally wore during such trips. While staying in Bombay, Baba also concluded the work of offering financial help to needy families by giving them 1,000 rupees to by giving 1,000 rupees to four families connected with him in the old life who were in great need of help. Having completed the different phases of work, Baba wished to relax and rest for some days. Of course, this meant a change of work. He consented to visit the Brabourne Stadium to witness the cricket matches between the Indian 11 and the Commonwealth team. Baba and the mandali sat in the north wing of the public stand. He appreciated the enthusiasm and the witty remarks made by the spectators about the good drives and strokes of the batsmen and the easy catches which the fielders missed. On December 5th, when he called the companions and the arrangement walas to his room, for no outward reason, he looked very tired and ill. He told the mandali that he would not visit the stadium on that day. By lunchtime, when he gestured to turn on the radio, perhaps to hear the score of the match, the first news they all heard was of the passing away of Sri Aurobindo Ghosh at Pondicherry in the early morning at 1:30 a.m. In the old life, Baba would refer to Sri Aurobindo as one of the great saints of India. He asked Nariman and Meherji to confirm this news from other reliable sources. Later, he decided to remain indoors for the whole day, was in a pensive mood. Why? He alone knew. On December 6th, Baba left Bombay and reached Mahabaleshwar, as he was very particular about the proper expenditure of money received from his lovers. He asked one of the companions to write down and check the details of their expenses during the tour. The balance was sent to one of the arrangement walas with the necessary instructions. The entire information was circulated to all Baba people. Sometimes Baba used to appear very lavish and sometimes very frugal. It all depended on the spiritual need of the time. Money by itself had very little value. During the Abba trip, Baba was very economical about the requirements of the Baba party, though he gave thousands of rupees to help poor families. This itinerary, like the other must tours of the old life, was full of hardships, little food eaten at untimely hours, and only a few hours sleep for those who accompanied Baba. Baba's demanding but compassionate companionship, his challenging yet at the same time reassuring demeanor made this trip very trying but also fascinating. I'll take a pause here. Uh, any thoughts, any comments? Bombay, Mahabaleshwar, railway incident. Okay, so let's also rotate the reading. Ashokji, are you in a position to read from the next section?
Yeah, the only thought is that it's the end of the new life. It's in phases. His new life is was coming to an end. The Bhiksha came to an end. I mean, it was the end of the new life.
Mm, yeah.
I should continue from singing program on Mera's birthday.
Yes.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Singing program on Mera's birthday. During Baba's stay at Satara, a little pony was purchased from the gypsies. Baba named it Begum, lady. At Mahabaleshwar, when Baba with the women mandali would go out for a walk in the mornings in the bracing and cool climate, Begum would follow like a pet dog. In Florence Hall, she would climb the veranda and go straight to Baba in the drawing room where he would feed her with carrots. Sometimes Begum would come earlier and expectantly wait for Baba. Baba's love for animals was one of the most loving facets of his life. This year, Mehra's birthday coincided with Christmas, and Baba agreed to have on that day a singing program by the Pune Bhajan Party. This group was composed of young Baba lovers. R.K. Gadekar, one of Baba's old close disciples residing at Pune, was asked to inform the youngsters about the program. The Thade brothers, Madhusudan Pratap, and a few others were given this news, which greatly delighted their hearts. Gadekar was also instructed to send a passport sized photograph of each member of the group. Baba intended to select one of these boys to stay with him for a few more days after the program. Dr. Ghani, who stayed at Pune, continued to feed the group with enlightening and inspiring Baba stories, Leelas. He brought home to them how fortunate they were to be invited by Baba during his new life. He strongly desired to accompany them, but in the letter, Baba had instructed that only the Pune Bhajan party should visit him. So he composed a ghazal and asked, or rather requested the boys to sing it before Baba. On December 21st, Thak Sahib, another of Baba's old mandali, visited Thade's place. He had developed an intense urge to see Baba, but owing to Baba's injunction, he dared not visit Mahabaleshwar. He too composed a very touching ghazal and asked the boys to include it in their singing program. Coincidentally, 2 days after this visit, Kak Sahib passed away, and that particular ghazal turned out to be his last message to his beloved master. Kadekar was one of Baba's old disciples, yet he decided to join the young group of lovers because he used to join them in singing. A good excuse. On December 24th, in a very delighted mood, the party reached Mahabaleshwar. Vishnu looked after lodging arrangements of the visitors. The same evening, Baba happily agreed to have a program. When the group arrived, Baba's eyes sparkled with the sweet smile he conveyed. I'm happy you all have come. Tomorrow you have to visit Florence Hall again in the morning. Sing freely and wholeheartedly. But remember that you have not to refer to anything concerning the new life. Sorry, anything concerning the old life. Pointing at Pratap Ahir, who was hardly in his teens, Baba asked him if he could stay with him for a few more days. Pratap's immediate reply was, "Yes, Baba, yes." A lucky chap. Then Baba signaled to commence the program. Baba was pleased with Pratap's singing and he asked him to sit near his chair. When the group sang Kak's ghazal, Kadekar, who was blessed with a childlike nature, looked very restless and wanted to tell Baba about the passing away of Kak Sahib. But because of Baba's earlier instruction concerning the old life, he tried to check himself. Baba noticed this and only gestured to him. Don't worry, I know. This calmed Kadekar down, but a look of wonder shone on his face. After a few songs, Ghani's ghazal was sung. Baba liked this composition through which Ghani, in his humorous style, had expressed his feeling of being pushed aside by Baba. The refrain of the ghazal was, "What a sunny day it was, what a dreadful night it is now. I hope God's hand is on the wheel of my fate." Ghani was Baba's schoolmate and close disciple too. He used to have free access to Baba. But in the new life phase, after his return from Dehradun, Baba did not permit Ghani to visit him except at the October meeting at Mahabaleshwar. Even then, he had no personal interview with Baba, which saddened him. In the above ghazal, Ghani poured out his pent up feelings, spiced with humor. Ghani's ghazal did touch Baba, though at the time he did not comment on it. A month later, he sent Ghani an invitation to a short poem composed by him. It is said that if anything ever touches the universal heart, it is love, and also a real sense of humor. And Ghani was a great humorist. Here I am reminded of another humorous refrain composed by Ghani in 1940 when Baba was at Bangalore. At that time, Meher Baba was busy with the formation of a universal spiritual center and his work with the mosques. He had assigned various duties to the mandali staying near him. No one was expected to interfere with the work of others. Baba casually remarked that one who could efficiently and economically manage his department would please him for the most. For some days, Baidul was in charge of the mess. With thought of winning Baba's favor by being extra economical, Baidul purchased a lot of pumpkins. They were very cheap and last for a long time. So every day the mandali would have a vegetable dish of pumpkin for lunch and supper too. This continued for a week and a few developed an aversion to the food. The mandali freely talked with Baba, but they dared not complain about any instruction he had once given unless he asked someone about it. Naturally, everyone hesitated to bring this pumpkin problem to Baba's notice. Honey no longer bear, could not bear this any longer. He had a brainwave. He knew that sometimes Baba asked for a few of them to sing. He composed a ghazal and trained one of the inmates to sing it. The refrain of it was, "Our dear Paidul has cooked a kola pumpkin today, and lo, he cooks it every day." This song not, not only gave Baba a hearty laugh, but it also conveyed to him the mandali's grievance. He looked into the whole matter and instructed Paidul not only to cook the pumpkin again, but ordered him to bury the whole stock on hand that same day. The next day, on December 25th, the Pune Bhajan party reached Baba's residence by 7 a.m. The group was led to a spacious hall where the program was to take place. Soon Baba arrived. He had put on a silk coat over a long white sadra. To the young Baba lovers, he appeared very resplendent and in a relaxed mood. His expression belied the sufferings he had endured during the earlier tour. It had been noticed that in spite of excruciating physical pain and spiritual suffering, Baba looked very radiant while meeting visitors. The boys tuned the musical instruments and the hall resounded with vibrations of sweet music. Bhajans glorifying the love of God, the beloved, were sung. Baba looked very pleased. He gestured, "I like you all," and he sweetly smiled and added, "You have sung some Krishna songs. Do you know any Radha song?" Baba might have proposed this because of Mera's birthday. The boys remembered one such bhajan, but they had not practiced it before. However, as they began to sing it, Baba liked it so much that after the refrain, He took a dholak on his lap and himself played on it. Padri, who was Padri, who was present, photographed Baba playing the dholak. During this 2 day program, Padri's camera clicked many times to register Baba's unique gestures. The singing continued for about 2 hours. Then the moment of departure arrived. A deep silence fell over the group. In that overpowering silence, Baba communicated his message of love to each. The bhajan party left Mahabaleshwar the same day, their hearts singing merrily the name of the Lord of Love. Rano and Kitty were also at Mahabaleshwar as the school where they worked in Bombay remained closed for Christmas. About that Christmas morning, Kitty writes, Baba returned to Mahabaleshwar from the tour before Christmas. How well I remember that Christmas. We went into the jungles that surrounded our villa and dug up a small evergreen tree to place on the living room table. Mehra and Mani, with Mehru assisting, made all its paper decorations. Mani insisted I make an angel for the top of the tree. The tree looked beautiful. I can still see that sweet, gentle smile on Baba's face as he stood by it on Christmas morning. Rano and Naja made their contribution, a table decoration. It was a wonderful cottage made out of cookies, icing, and sugar. A face peered from one of its windows. It was lit up from inside by some quite simple contrivance, for we could not buy materials. Up the lane to the little house trotted, I believe, on snow a deer. There in the middle of the jungle, Baba had this wonderful surprise. A Christmas tree and a wintry Christmas cottage. It is these small things which bring that not so frequent smile on Baba's face when suffering is acute. The Sorcerer's 5, Kitty Devi, Recollections Part 2, The Awakener, Volume 7, Number 1, 1960, page 30. And the new life phase for the 1950 was thus concluded.
Beautiful. So we move to the next chapter, the 12th chapter in volume 2. So we can also rotate the reading. Mm, Sunil, Vijayji, Ashish, Namita, whoever.
I can read it if no one is available right now.
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
I,
regarding Gadekar, right? I know in Pune there is there's one senior uncle is living with Gadekar. I think he is his son, right?
Yes,
If yeah.
yes. So the person you are referring to is Digambar Gadekar and
Yeah.
R.K. Gadekar. I think Ramakrishna Gadekar was his father. And yeah, you're
Hmm.
right. That's he's in fact in our group. He's a very lovely gentleman. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Ashok, for reading, and Ashish, you can take over.
you're welcome,
Yeah.
Karthik. It was a
Jai
delight.
Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Okay. Jai Baba. 100 Days Seclusion, 1951, Part 1. Service to the God man never goes unrewarded during the new life. Baba's daily routine was full of activities which entailed hardships and suffering. It was a part of arduous spiritual game he was engaged in. In early December, after his return from Bombay, he commenced planning another tour of contacting musts. The lease in connection with Florence Hall, where the Baba party stayed in Mahabaleshwar, was to end at the end of May. Every year, by the second week of June, it starts to rain generally in Maharashtra, and the monsoons bring torrential showers specifically to Mahabaleshwar. Sometimes the sun is not visible for days, so Baba wished to move to some place with a more moderate climate, and he preferred Hyderabad. He instructed Adi to bring his blue Chevrolet to Mahabaleshwar and to drive him to Hyderabad, so he could select the two bungalows in bracket houses to be rented in June. While he was there, he also wished to contact some of the god intoxicated souls. Adi promptly arrived, and in the third week of January 1951, Baba with a few companions left for Hyderabad. On the way, the party halted at Sholapur, where Baba contacted three musts. Guliappa was a typical yogi of the fifth plane. He referred to himself as if he were a woman. He resided in a clean apartment and had remarkable eyes. Bulla Baba was contacted a short distance from an Indian gymnasium where he was sitting in a filthy environment, oblivious of his surroundings. He had long dirty nails and a wild temper too. Despite his disposition, he was greatly revered by the local populace. They feared him, respected him, and loved him as well. The party resumed their journey and reached Hyderabad on January 16. The guest house of Usman Sagar was reserved for the Baba party for 3 days. Before beginning the hunt for the must, the mandali inquired of real estate agents about vacant bungalows. Baba had already specified the requirements for the houses to be rented, and Adi appeared most concerned about checking every detail with the agents. Adi had a good reason for being concerned. A few years back, in 1945, Baba had entrusted to Adi the work of leasing a house at Hyderabad. Adi did his job diligently, diligently and reserved a newly built villa for Baba on the Jubilee Hills. This villa had a good swimming pool and a lovely lawn. After the arrival of Baba and woman Mandali, it was noticed that though the electric fitting for the fans and lights were perfect, the house lacked a direct connection with the power station. Since this was during World War II, regulations prohibited the establishment of any new connection, and thus the house was without electricity. Even kerosene was not easily available. Those staying in the house did not grumble over the inconvenience. Baba, however, would often blame Adi for not being careful enough in observing the instructions given. Sometimes he threatened Adi to the extent of his leaving the house and even the city where he had come for special spiritual work. Adi felt very sad over the whole affair. It was only after, through inquiry, that he found that Dharamkaran, one of the Rajas in the Hyderabad state, was the only person empowered to grant an extra connection under exceptional circumstances. He tried to meet this person, but to get an official interview with this Raja, who rolled in riches and in princely vagaries too, Adi had to wait patiently for over 3 hours. The Raja, on his arrival, seemed most disinterested in meeting his visitor. Adi pleaded his case well especially by stating that his elder brother Baba in bracket had come from Bombay and that the party should be treated as the guests of the great city, Hyderabad. Had Adi disclosed Baba's identity, things would have moved very smoothly, but that was not permissible. The Raja somehow was convinced of the genuine need for lights and put his long and most illegible signature sanctioning the application. The head of the power house reluctantly extended the connecting wires to the bungalow where Baba and the woman mandali were residing and there was light. This Raja was in fact interested in paying his respects to the saints. One of his secretaries, who was a Parsi, had previously heard of Meher Baba and anticipating his master's interest. He visited the house where the main mandali stayed. Adi met him and explained that since Baba was in seclusion, it was not possible for Dharamkaran to have Baba's darshan. Perhaps Adi had grudge against this Raja who had not behaved cordially towards him. Just then, Baba, who had recently arrived at the Mandali's quarters, sent someone to the living room to inquire as to who had come and what he wanted. Hearing the report, Adi had called in, and to his surprise, Baba at once acquiesced to the Raja's request for darshan. On some later occasion, Dharamkaram came to see Baba with his whole family. He became friendly with Adi. It seems that even if someone unconsciously renders and help in the cause of the God man, it shall be rewarded tenfold. Whether you love, serve, or hate the God man, nothing shall go in vain. Once the connection with the avatar is established, it will draw his blessings and compassion. And there are good many instances to justify this supposition. During the present stay, January 1951, the owners of two vacant bungalows were connected and without any difficulty, the due legalities were completed within a day. This made it easier for companions to move freely with the Baba for the must contacts in Hyderabad. Baba's special intention during the short visit was to renew past contacts with the god intoxicated ones. He resumed his work with a brilliant start, and within a day and a half, he had met about 31 musts. It was rare for Baba to be able to meet so many musts in such a short period. It was as if these contacts had been prearranged by Baba, for no sooner would we arrive at a certain place than the must would be spotted, as if he were waiting for Baba. While returning to Mahabaleshwar, Baba halted at Gulbarga and Hamnabad. Hamnabad. There was also a short detour to visit Itka. Here, Baba had to walk a pretty long distance to contact a spiritually advanced soul named Swami. This love intoxicated person was found in a very jolly mood and readily accepted the sweets given by Baba, a favorable indications that the must will be willing to shoulder spiritual responsibilities. Hence, the diversion made Baba quite happy. From Gulbarga, the Baba party journeyed straight to Mahabaleshwar. Ghani invited for a short stay. Before leaving his headquarters for Hyderabad, in one of the informal gatherings of those who stayed with him, Baba made a casual reference to Ghani's Urdu ghazal that was sung by the Pune Bhajan party, portraying Ghani's heart ache following him. The refrain of the ghazal was, "What a sunny day it was. What a dreadful night it is now. What a dreadful night it is now. In bracket, I hope God's hand in on the will of in bracket my fate. The whole composition, though spiced with humor, express Ghani's woeful feelings. In reply to this ghazal, do we know this ghazal exactly? What was that ghazal exactly? What a sunny day it was. What a beautiful night.
Sunny day it was. This is the one, but we don't know what's the Hindi or title.
Hmm. The whole composition, though spiced with humor, expressed Ghani's woeful feelings. In reply to this ghazal, and perhaps in consideration of his school day friendship, Baba, in a sympathetic and witty mood, composed the following poem addressed to his dear companion, Ghani. If you are well, if you feel well, if you have not gone mad, or don't say you are sad, have no material loss from servant or boss, no talk of old life or child or wife, but entertain me with jokes and poetry. Will pay both fares, but won't listen to your cares. Then come for 8 days. So Meher Baba says, don't give me pain by asking material gain. Talk of spiritual benefit will give you gober and shit. In new life, no responsibility or reward, no possibility. Naturally, Dhani
There is a yeah, Gobar.
gober.
Gobar is cow dung. Yeah, Gobar is cow dung. Anyway, continue.
Naturally, Ghani felt highly honored and delighted at this most unexpected invitation from the compassionate company. For an answer, he spontaneously wrote the following stanzas and mailed them promptly to Baba. He wrote, received your loving letter. I feel awful better. In, is India getting dry? It never looked to me better. So during those
Oh,
years, there
okay.
was a prohibition drive in India.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing to see these personal moments that Baba shares with his dear ones and the closeness that they have shared, the camaraderie and the lightness, light-hearted banter that goes on. It's so, I mean, I so dearly wish I was able to get that kind of access and, be around Baba, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes on. Please finish the whole poem.
Yes. A thousand thoughts and what not. It looked almost a boycott. 12 months, no ink in bracket W, wink, no ink pot. I could not get the upshot. And Jal with dates nothing. Gadiker droned in doting. With Papa seemingly bloating. And Ramju meaningly gloating. This atmosphere was pretty sure could not very long endure. De facto verdict for a cure. Could not ignore my stand de jure. Accepting all your orders will come for dates and numbers. On mind, no madness, murder. Be damned the cares and thunders. Hoping there are hoping there are no blunders forever, I remain yours. Abdul Ghani, said Abdul Ghani. SD Abdul Ghani.
Yes. Yeah, signed Abdul Ghani.
Yes, signed. Yeah, signed Abdul Ghani. About a decade earlier, Ghani, through sheer desperation, had tried to commit suicide, and Baba most unexpectedly visited his town, Lonavala, and helped him at the right moment. Okay, yeah.
Reading about that. He just at that time he visited and
he
Made
stopped
it.
suiciding.
Yeah, stopped. Yes, yes, yes.
After
Okay,
Baba's
so
arrival. Mhm.
I just thought we'll just see what is this journey that we are talking about. So we are talking about not a very big distance, but it basically goes through Humnabad, if you notice here, Humnabad and Gulbarga. Right? So that's the route Baba took, and then reached Mahabaleshwar. Right? This is Mahabaleshwar.
So one thing, Baba traveled a lot everywhere,
Yeah,
but in the books I did not see that much mention about that time. The British people was ruling on India, right? They were ruling all
correct,
over India, and
correct.
there was some pressure from the British people in many places. Either it's taxes or many other things, but I did not see many references like I before independence and after independence also. What was the impact or anything change happen or something? Uh, so it's like everything was smooth and there was no issues from British or because of the Parsis there was no problem for the Baba. So do you know any I haven't seen any references about the British in the all the journey of Baba. When they traveled a lot, they got so much. It's like uh, they interacted with many people, but any references of the British people which connecting with the Baba or something?
I'm not sure what exactly you are expecting in the sense any resistance or
Yeah. Same,
stoppage of
any
Baba's
kind of,
activities. No, no,
any
nothing,
kind
nothing,
of, any
nothing
kind
like
of.
that. No, no.
Yeah.
I think I think Baba never involved himself in anything that was even remotely political, right? So other
Mhm.
than the contact with Gandhi multiple times, once on the ship and then through letters to them. And he
Mm.
talked about
Mm.
Nehru, he talked about others, but I don't think he ever got involved anywhere politically. So I don't know if that
Okay.
answers your question, but basically,
Yeah.
okay, let's finish the poem.
Yes.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
there we
This,
can
this, this
continue
one was already
after.
finished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
After Baba's arrival at Mahabaleshwar, the above stanzas were read out to him. He seemed pleased with this reply, full of humor and in appreciation of Ghani's response in a jovial mood. Baba dictated the following four lines as a message and confirmation of the call. After carefully, you later noting, I feel like going a boating. If any of my orders you break, your body on the Gangas be floating. Ganges be floating.
Uh, it's the style of, writing with the last word as a rhyme. So it's all of Baba's poetry is always with a rhyme. Okay, let's continue.
Later, Ghani visited Mahabaleshwar for a short stay with Baba, and it was a period of good relaxation and recreation for both, especially for Ghani. A short visit to Bombay. As it was previously planned, after a little rest, Baba agreed to visit Bombay. On the way at Pune, near the Araneshwar temple, he did a part of his work with the poor by offering monetary help. This sum of money had been offered to him by Pilamai Irani when Baba was about to begin the new life. Pilamai was one of the Baba's early stalwart disciples who, in spite of great opposition in the 1930 from the Parsi community at Karachi, was the first to make beautiful rings and lockets containing Baba's pictures. People wondered at her conviction in Baba's divinity as the God man. Baba wished to offer this money to seven deserving people who were his old life devotees. In addition to this work, at Bombay, he gave 700 rupees to, two Parsi families. It was noticed that even in the new life, Baba's work with the musts, and the poor proceeded hand in hand. Besides the servant companions in bracket Eraj, Baidul, and Gustadji, Baba had called Adi Junior, Jal S, Padri, Ramzu, and Savak in bracket Kotwal to travel with him during the must contacts in Bombay. This work of contacting the god intoxicated ones did not differ much in its outer features from what has been described in the early chapters. As for its spiritual significance, Baba once casually remarked that these contacts with the souls drawn in divine love had 100% bearing on the forthcoming work to be achieved in the 100 days seclusion, which has to begin on February 13, 1951. In Ashiana, Nariman Dada Chanji's residence in Bombay, Baba, in the company of his close ones, once conveyed, "It is natural for me in my new life to fill void of all that it was natural for me to fill in my old life." So Ramjuk, the author of the God Determined Step, referred to Baba's role during the new life as one of a very extraordinarily or ordinary man. It was about this time, on his return from Bombay, that Baba received a cable from Elizabeth Patterson. It stated that Baba's visit to the West in July 1951 was not feasible. In answer to this, Baba asked Donkin to send the following reply to her. Baba's plans are changed. Instead of living in July 1951, he will live in February 1952. Do not worry and rest assured that Baba wants to come and stay for 1 year. In Florence Hall on February 10th, Baba had a meeting with his companions and the following decisions were arrived at from February 12, 1951. The servants were freed from the bindings of the new life condition except for a few standing orders. That is, not to commit any lustful action, not to create circumstances that will invite homage, not to accept money or food from anyone, and above all, to obey Baba 100%. All the companions were to stay with Baba as his servants till June 10, 1951. Self
Okay.
giving love accepts suffering.
Yeah, no, no. I think we can also rotate if there is another volunteer reader. I can read. Sure, Sunilji. Thank you so much, Ish. Continue.
Yeah.
Also, now that we have paused, any comments on what we have read till now? Ghani's poetry, Baba's poetry. Okay, let's continue. Self-giving love. Self-giving love accepts suffering. On February 13, the sacred seclusion began. This phase of work caused great physical and mental strain for Baba. He tried to adjust for his subsequent fatigue by changing his places of work in the Aga Khan bungalow, Lawrence Hall. Sometimes he stayed in a small cabin or closeted himself in a specially built hut with thatched roof. The first 40 days from February 13 to March 24 turned out to be very critical and crucial. Perhaps in order to participate in his spiritual burden, Ali Shah, a must of fifth plane, was brought from Ahmednagar to Mahabaleshwar. For 3 weeks, February 15 to March 5, Baba sat for some time each day with Ali Shah, who was very cooperative in Baba's inner work. At the beginning of this sublime seclusion, Baba fasted for a week, and for the rest of the period, he had only one meal a day. The work in the hut seemed very strenuous for him, and whenever he came out,
looked very tired. This was one of the indications of the profundity of his work. The typical way of working in the hut was that at night, when he was all alone by himself, he spent some hours in complete darkness and some in bright, glaring light. Was he dealing with the prevalent forces of darkness and the impending days of spiritual sunshine? Baba never explained the significance of this particular method of work, which was adopted only once to accomplish the required spiritual results. And had he conveyed anything, I wonder how far it would have been of avail to us. Baba lovers carried the conviction that the depth of Baba's work is unfathomable, and love expects no explanations other than those the divine beloved gives on his own will. To those who stayed with Baba, it was clearly visible that out of unbounded compassion, he had to stand great physical strains, which made him extremely helpless. Can you go back, Karthik, to the top of the para? So he spent some hours in complete darkness and some in bright, glaring light. So this is day and night, right? Obviously.
No, in the night, I think.
What is bright?
Typical way of working in the hut was that at night, when he was all alone by himself, he spent some hours in complete darkness and some in bright, glaring light.
So what is bright, glaring light? Any idea?
Idea? Maybe, see, if you're wondering if it is not artificial light, is that what your question seems to suggest?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what.
Yeah, I was wondering too, but it's not clear. Because Baba has mentioned that when he is sleeping, right, he always used to have a night watchman watch by his side, and the instruction was very clear. Unless he clapped, they were not to enter or try to see Baba. And they were
Okay.
told specifically that it was very almost to use word I'm using, dangerous. Okay, because it was not, he was not, you cannot see him in that form. So I think one of them broke the rule and he almost saw blinding light and so on. So yeah, I was thinking of exactly the same, saying, is that a reference to artificial lighting or something else? But it's not clear.
Okay. P.T. Devi, who was staying at Mahabaleshwar, wrote her impressions about Baba's seclusion as follows. I can recall Baba's weak physical condition and supreme state of helplessness during the 100 days seclusion. Yet every evening during that period, the mandali were called to Baba for a recitation of evening prayers in Marathi, Urdu, and English. This period was my first experience of seeing Baba so helpless and in such great physical pain. On one occasion, Dr. Gohar, realizing how much Baba was suffering and his state of helplessness and humiliation during this period, gave way to tears because we would have done all we can.
Sorry, I think Baba asked her why.
Baba, yeah, sorry, yeah. Humiliation during this period gave way to tears. Baba asked her why. She replied through her tears, because we would have done all we can, and that has not helped. Baba replied that it did not help him to see her so upset that all was as it had been ordained, and our part was to keep cheerful and happy. In this new life phase, when Baba emphasized his purely human aspect with all its limitations, it was difficult at times to remember that Baba had also eternal bliss. Perhaps, as someone suggested, this unlimited bliss forsakes the Christ when he deliberately, out of his compassion and mercy for man, takes on the sufferings and limitations of man, and this though appearing to limit the unlimited, is really fuller proof of the true perfection of a Christ, for it expresses the self giving love which accepts suffering for a struggling humanity. Krishna, we read, used to offer prayers and homage to God, worship and serve saints and his own lovers and devotees in all sorts of lowly capacities. Christ asked God to forgive him in order to give the world the example of seeking forgiveness from God, thus assuming a separateness from him. Baba, in this new life phase, living life in its different phases, holds up before us all practical example of repentance, worship, prayer, and service. We may not know, we cannot tell what pain he had to bear, but we believe it was for us. He hung and suffered there. And we too must believe it. There's a footnote number 4. Kitty Devi, The Awakener, Volume 2, Volume 7, Number 1, 1960, page 31. Dr. Neelu, one of the companions, was also attending Baba as a physician. One day he felt very nervous while giving an injection to Baba, who looked extremely tender and utterly helpless. In Neelu's attempt to be overly cautious and careful, the injection needle got twisted. Beads of perspiration crowded Neelu's forehead while Baba, silently writhing in pain, was looking with great compassion and forgiveness at Neelu. Throughout this seclusion, and the barometer of Baba's health fluctuated. Something at the top.
No, that's just that's just the chapter heading. So you just have to say greatly. I think it ends fluctuated greatly.
Fluctuated greatly. Yeah. The pointer mostly tending towards great physical weakness. A step of revolutionary change. When the critical period of 40 days was over, Baba issued a statement, and after a fortnight, it was followed by an elucidation. The excerpts given below from both the circulars are self explanatory. Out of the 100 days seclusion that began on 13 February 1951, the main work was achieved during the first 40 days, which were very crucial and important. Without the help of God, I could not have gone through this ordeal successfully. Considering my usual changing temperament and the physical and mental strain that I suffered during this period, it was as if God wanted to prove his help to me by giving me suffering as well as strength to endure it. I also feel that the prayers and the invocations dictated by me and offered on my behalf by the servants have been accepted by God. The remaining 60 days are not very difficult for me to live through. With God's help, I can adjust the activities and the place of work according to my convenience. In view of the fact that my 100-day seclusion is likely to be accomplished to my entire satisfaction, and that I feel God also will be entirely satisfied with it, I have, God knows, the honest conviction that during the period between 10 June and 30th June 1951, God will, out of his infinite wisdom and grace, make me a step which will bring about an extraordinary revolutionary change in my life and in the life of the servants, the arrangement wallahs, and the old life disciples, and all those directly or indirectly connected with me. So, this is 100 days, 40 days, and then 20 days over there. I actually couldn't fully understand what was happening. Somebody can
Yeah,
explain.
I think it's 100 days totally. So
Then
we go
40 days
back
are
here.
important.
And then 60 remaining is what he breaks it as.
Then there is dates, which is 10th to 30th, which is 20 days. So
Yeah.
couldn't grasp it very well. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
I think it's his definition of those dates. But the quotation, Baba quotation came from the New Life Circular issued on 1/5, that's 1st of May 1951. So he had issued that circular before those dates, a
Yes.
month before almost. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Uh, while elucidating this step, Baba continued, I have firm conviction that God is so determined that I shall certainly be made to take the irrevocable step. This step might plunge me into life older than the old life, or a newer than the new life, or into a life below both these lives, or into a life above both these lives. I'm also confident that by God's help and by His will, the result of the irrevocable step which I shall come to know and declare in June 1951, and which I shall put into its execution on 16th October 1951, will fructify by 16th February 1952. All this has been put before you plainly and clearly in order that my statement may remove confusion, if any, and give confidence, if none, to you and all. Nevertheless, I feel the result of this irrevocable step that God will bestow in His own ways will in no way depend upon whether one is confused or confident. The extraordinary that is to happen must happen by God's will. Footnote number 6. Circular.
Same one. Same one, but I think there are two different sections. So this is called elucidation, and the other was called statement.
Where are we? On May
I
23,
yeah, correspondence course in the Bible.
correspondence course in the Bible. On May 23, the seclusion was over and the Baba party was getting ready for a shift to Hyderabad. After this strenuous work of 100 days, Baba wished to leave Mahabaleshwar for a short period, a change. Before leaving for Hyderabad, Baba consented to visit Pune for a few days. A bungalow in one of the suburbs of Pune was kept at Baba's disposal, and also for Mandali going with him. This was a huge, unfurnished, before hello, yeah. This was a huge, unfurnished house in the part known as Wanori. On arrival, Baba felt that the house was not suitable for his relaxation and work, especially because of a nearby tannery which filled the surroundings with an awful odor. The men Mandali went out in search of another house and were delighted to find a really ideal place for Baba. This was Guru Prasad. Thus, the foundation of Baba's work that he did in Guru Prasad in the 1960s was laid in the new life. During Baba's stay at Mahabaleshwar, he had expressed a wish that no one should directly or indirectly try to see him or write to him. The Baba people abided literally and by his instruction. However, one day there came a visitor, a Roman Catholic priest. He had not come to see Baba, about whom he knew nothing, but he wanted to meet Murali Kale, who was one of Baba's new life companions. During Baba's stay at Satara, Murli, to improve his knowledge of English, had enrolled as a candidate for a correspondence course in the Bible. A novel idea, every week he received a printed lesson based on the Gospels of the Apostles. Along with each lesson, there would be a questionnaire on that particular part. was a sort of test to find out how far the people had studied and grasped the truths revealed in the New Testament. From the beginning of this course, Murli relied on Erich's help in writing the answers. Erich, in his teens, had studied in a Catholic school at Nagpur. There he attended the scripture classes and studied the New Testament with great interest, so much that he developed great love for Jesus and the Christ. In the scripture classes, Erich would sometimes ask a question about certain incidents in the life of Jesus. The father would explain the matter well, but at times there would arise a question to which he, being unable to answer, would reply, "Sit down, Jasawala. That's a mystery." When this continued to happen often, Erich thought, how nice it would have been if I had been in the company of Jesus. Then everything would have been plain and simple, no mystery. It was about this time, 1930s, that Meher Baba frequently visited Nagpur and stayed in Mary's Lodge, owned by Behram Shah D. Jasawala, Erich's father, was a high-ranking government officer, the chief inspector of the factories and boilers for the central province and Berar, now with the state of Madhya Pradesh. This estate had a big garden with some fruit trees and many potted flower plants. During Baba's visit on school days, Erich would sometimes get into the house by the back wicket gate, have a wash, change clothes, and leave for the playground to join his friends, while Baba would be strolling near the main gate, occasionally inquiring about Erich. Daimai, Erich's mother, would later say to her son, "Why do you evade Baba's company, Erich? Do you know who is Meher Baba? He's our prophet Zoroaster, come again." Erich would frankly tell his mother that he thought, uh, Erich would frankly tell his mother what he thought and did. Of course, he revered and respected Meher Baba very much, but he had not as much love for Baba as he had for Jesus. His heart silently whispered, "Even if Meher Baba is Zoroaster come again, so what? I love Jesus, the Christ. I await his second coming." Thus, the avatar of the age, Meher Baba, was lovingly waiting for Erich at the main gate, while Erich, with his genuine yearning to be in the company of Christ, was unknowingly evading him by sneaking through the back gate. What irony! Years later, Erich uh, had the conviction that the same ancient one who had come as Zoroaster, as Jesus, and as avatars in the past had once again assumed the human form as Meher Baba, and he accepted him as the Lord, the highest of the high. Erich had left Nagpur in 1938 to stay permanently with Baba. Now, after 12 years, while he was going through the Bible lessons that Murali received, was in a way reliving his days at school. His deep interest in the New Testament and love for Jesus were reflected in the answers he framed in reply to the questioners. As the weeks passed by, successive lessons were received, but with each lesson, Murli's enthusiasm diminished, and he started depending entirely on Erich for the answers. After a month or so, the Baba party shifted from Satara to Mahabaleshwar, where Murli's course concluded, and he heaved a sigh of great relief. According to the convention of the institution, one of the priests in that area was asked to contact Murli and to offer him a special present as his answers were most remarkable. The priest congratulated Murli on his scholarly answers. Murli had never dreamt of such an honor and was completely taken aback. He hurriedly ran to Erich, who was warming water for Baba's bath, and said, "You helped me in submitting the answers during the Bible course. And now I request you for the last time to relieve me of the subsequent predicament. At present, a priest has arrived to offer me a present for the distinction I obtained in the scripture course. But how can I reveal to him the secret of my success? Erich did not want to go, but sensing Murali's awkward position, he decided to accompany him. Erich was in his banyan and practically said nothing except "Thank you, sir."
No, no, no. It was in his banyan and boxer shorts.
Banyan and boxer shorts. During the conversation that ensued, Murali practically said nothing except "Thank you, sir," when the father offered him the prize. The visitor was very much impressed by the way Erich conducted the talk and felt impelled to ask him, "What are you doing here, my son?" "I'm serving my lord," was Erich's reply. This made him all the more curious to ask Erich more questions. As Erich wanted to return soon to his work, lest Baba noticed his absence, he gave priest but profound answers. The priest, a thin, middle-aged person, indirectly challenged Erich on the truth of his statement that he was serving the Lord. He also he also quoted some references from the Bible, asking people to beware of impostors. Erich answered, "I'm speaking from my personal experience and not from the words stated in any book or books. Again, how can you prove to me that one I'm serving is not the Lord?" During this talk, Erich, however, did not make even a passing reference either to his own study of the New Testament or to his love for Jesus the Christ when he was studying in the St. Francis de Sales High School conducted by Roman Catholic Mission. The conversation between Erich and the father continued, and the latter seemed to be more and more receptive to Erich's words. When he left, what feeling he carried about Meher Baba, God only knows. Murli had already sneaked away from the scene. Erich returned to Baba, did not ask him anything about his absence. After many days, when Baba heard the funny incident of Murli's grand success, the visit of the priest, Baba beamed with a smile. Maybe it was the reason why he allowed Erich to have a long talk with the father. Baba, in his infinite patience, knew when the seed of his name would germinate in the heart of the priest. It will, however, be interesting to mention that Murli's casual interest in the Bible was, in a way, regarded by Baba, rewarded by Baba in November 1952 during one of the meetings in the hall at Mehrabad. On Baba's instruction, Murli wore a gown like that of a priest and read the Sermon on the Mount to Baba, who solemnly stood before him, holding a cross in his hand. The 100 days seclusion began on February 13 and ended on May 23, 1951. The Great Seclusion in the Blue Bus, June-July 1949, marked the initiation of the new life, while the present seclusion irrevocably established the foundation of the next step of Manonar, the concluding phases of the new life.
Okay, so I think we stop here at the end of chapter 12. We can start the new chapter next week.
Yes, Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba.
Meher Baba ki jai. Thanks everyone for joining.
Okay.
I have a rush, so I will abruptly have to leave, but look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow in the next session where we continue with God Speaks.
अवतार मेहर बाबा
अवतार
की
मेहर बाबा की जय।
Jai
जय
जय
बाबा
बाबा
जय बाबा
जय बाबा।
जय बाबा, जय बाबा।